Welcome to the Community Pulse, where we take the pulse of the community so we can take action.
Welcome to the Community Pulse, the official podcast of the Proactive Community Services. I'm today's host, Lakeisha Webb, and as we celebrate 20 years of community impact, we're spotlighting powerful voices shaping the future of health equity, environmental justice, and economic empowerment. Today, we're honored to sit down with a pioneer in Chicago's urban agriculture and food justice space, Miss Erika Allen of Urban Growers Collective and the transformative Green Era Campus. Erika, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. So, we want to begin with your journey. What inspired you to get involved in food justice, urban farming, and the environmental equality?
I mean, for me, I think I'll share a little bit about myself. I grew up on a small family farm. We didn't have any off-farm labor, so I had kind of an old school upbringing. And it was clear to me really early that having food sovereignty and having access to land, I grew up on my mom's side of the family land. Because we had that, we were able to grow food, take it into the city, sell it and have the resources we needed to live. And it's something that, of course, when you grow up having that kind of understanding and a practical experience, you carry that into the rest of your life, no matter
Yeah,
what you do.
absolutely.
And as I developed and realized I had a talent for visual arts, and it was something that I really loved doing, but I also had a lot of questions and curiosity about how the world was the way it was then and continues to be to
Right.
probably a more expansive degree, especially around the kind of negative facets of life that I wanted to be a change agent within that, and that I wanted to bring my talents to that cause as opposed to pursuing sort of a art star career where,
Okay.
I was commodifying my art, and also saw the opportunities um, to bring those skills into the space of really directly impacting youth incarceration and
Okay.
being able to provide a meaningful therapeutic environment that
Mm,
young people could see their futures in a different context. Also, I was very interested in the power of art because it was something that allowed me to communicate in ways that words couldn't just provide. Because when I say something, you have a picture in your mind of what those words may mean,
okay.
whereas the words for me help to explain the picture and vice versa. So
Mm,
taking that into a kind of a larger context, having young people have experiences where, especially if there's justice system involved, if they've been in incarceration or are highly at risk for going down those pathways, that they can have environments
mm,
where they can see themselves in a different space to actually breathe and um, be leaders within a society that criminalizes our existence. So
okay.
that kind of uh, how would I say, like that combination of things
Okay.
at an early age, 21, 22,
Mm.
is what led me to, 30 plus some years later, doing this work in the way that I do.
And it's awesome work. And I just want to, speaking of your work, and with the Growers Collective, it's become a pillar in Chicago's South Side. And can you give us an overview of the communities you serve and the core programs that you kind of touched on, that drive your mission?
Well, thank you for just acknowledging that we're a pillar, because we
Absolutely.
actually have we talk about our work in the context of pillars, and probably our biggest pillar is youth. So as I shared, my work individually and now collectively has been centered around generational lineage and making sure that young people are able to see themselves and the elders and the
Mm.
people holding the kind of knowledge around how to do these different food systems, but
Okay.
also how they can innovate around that work. And so to do that, you have to have spaces. So our youth corps, we train about and educate and employ between 200 to 300 teens a year, depending on the programs and the impacts of those programs, including, school tours and kind of internships at the college level. We operate 6 farms at this point. Sometimes we say 8, sometimes, but I would just say 6 at this
Okay.
stage, with the 3 largest being the South Chicago farm, which is in the southeast side of Chicago, so just touching on the Southlands.
Hmm.
And that's a 7-acre farm that is part of the Chicago Park District. So we're really farming for Chicago, thinking about having a space that provides food security and the ability for community folks to come and grow their own food in a large community allotment garden that we support, along with the training programs that we provide, which include the youth corps, and I'll just keep saying youth
Right.
corps, an herbalism apprenticeship, and then a series of trainings and opportunities to apprentice with us to learn how to become, a regenerative small scale grower. So those are kind of like core programs, and then we offer opportunities for volunteering, practical experiences for hands-on volunteering, where people can come and support our work. And then we have projects that all of us as growers and or educators support. We have it's called Art in the Farm, which is
Mm.
our 20th anniversary of that farm. It's in Grant Park. So
Okay.
folks are downtown for one of the festivals. We're right on that garden is right across from Buckingham Fountain. And so our young people and our team have been farming that space since 2005,
Okay.
designing it to really show how food and growing food in the city can be beautiful and productive, and that it deserves to be part of Chicago's front yard. And
Mm.
that project has really inspired and created new policies that allow food and farming and agriculture and all of its scales to be centered and that people can connect with.
Okay. That man, you guys are doing some amazing work. Um,
Thank you.
and so your work centers are not only on your work centers not only on food access, but also education, job training, and wellness. Could you share a story that could illustrate how your work transforms lives, for the people?
You know, I think all of our work does that. I think that the project that I'll shared a little bit about the South Chicago farm and Art in the Farm. And I'll share a little bit about Green Era Campus. I think the Green Era Campus is really brings together all of those pieces.
Hmm.
What we're doing at the campus, this is located in Auburn Gresham, which is a community that's we had the first this is kind of not a fun fact, but we did have the first COVID transition death when the COVID crisis happened.
Okay.
It's a community that used to just be a thriving, it still is, but a thriving economic center for the Black community. We also know that redlining, the practice of the financial
Absolutely.
institutions not loaning to us, was kind of birthed in this area. Um,
Absolutely.
and so being able to build an economic um, agriculture project that can create green energy and the opportunity for economic development, taking food waste and taking that food waste and transforming it into not only renewable natural gas and energy, but also having the building blocks, the compost to grow more food,
Mm.
is really the circular economy and the circular environmental um, catalyst that then can bring in all kinds of other climate resilient entrepreneurial opportunities that are really based in the environment. So
Okay.
that campus is kind of halfway finished. We have the digester and that's operating. And that could be like a 2-hour conversation, honestly.
Okay.
Um, we're in the process of adding and building a vertical farm. So our young people and folks who are looking to transition into farming and agriculture, which I highly encourage, just as we see all of the things happening in the world, being able to have a local food shed that is that we can count on, making sure that we have the nutritional foods, the cultural foods. I was going to say nutritional density, but there's like foods that are grown in the soil that has enough fertility to really
Mm,
fuel our bodies. And no matter if we're just buying food that doesn't have that, we're missing out on some of the vitamins that our grandparents were able to consume. We
that's
don't
so
have that
important.
anymore. It's really important, and it's a direct connection to our public health. So that adding those greenhouses, having a place where the youth, we're right across from Simeon Career Academy, that I think there's some noteworthy athletes that have graduated from there, and
Yes.
lots of other luminaries, working with the young people to help us design some of the campus. We just acquired a new building, which will be Urban Growers Collective's headquarters. We've never had a brick and mortar space of our own, that we
Wonderful.
can bring everybody together to learn and share, to learn together because we're constantly learning, and to share what we've been able to innovate over about 30 years of work that really began with Growing Power, which was headquartered in Milwaukee. So that lineage and being able to intergenerationally grow food together, to innovate around environmental resiliency, and to then be able to translate that in ways that people can see. Because we
Right.
work as an organization with people who are from multiple backgrounds, and
Hmm.
that is intentional. It's making sure that we're all valued within a food system, and that we can collectively move forward with our talents and our kind of I think some of the unseen superpowers that a lot of our young people and folks that have gone through lots of challenges have, because they've been resilient. And
Wow.
having a resilient as a people, we're resilient, but to have that valued and to see it in action accelerates not only the community healing, but also births new economic opportunity that doesn't exploit people, doesn't exploit the environment, and that we're able to collectively work together to make sure that we have mutual aid and support, and that we're able to stabilize not only our food system and the gardens, but the gardens really are metaphors. They're reflections of what we
Mm,
want to see happen in our community as a whole.
absolutely. And with that being said, with any grassroots movement, there are bound to be challenges. What are some barriers you have encountered, and how have you managed to stay focused with your mission?
No, I think the challenges are the challenges that we see every day in our communities. We're a reflection of the community. So just that I think a lot of the challenges around resources, having the being kind of ahead in a lot of ways in terms of
Hmm.
vision, like seeing the possibilities. If only we could dot dot dot, and
Right.
having to sort of um, have the patience and resilience to get to the point where the folks who hold the resources and some of the power, a lot of the power, are able to shift enough so that we're able to manifest the things that we've all been dreaming about for, at this point, 400 years.
Right.
I'm gonna be real dramatic. 400
No,
years. But it's the truth, right?
absolutely.
So I think those are the big meta, kind of like larger kind of challenges. And I think just day to day, like we're doing work that there's always pressure to scale and to sort of enter into an extractive economic system that, makes a few people really wealthy, but leaves the community behind. And we see that constantly. So our work is, as a not-for-profit, is to not just repair the ongoing extraction and just just irresponsible business practices
Mm,
that are often done from far away with people who buy up real estate or buy up grocery stores and create these environments that leave people behind. And
right.
so if our work through centering and grounding a community in a green space that's also productive, where youth can learn about themselves and learn how to problem solve and develop coping skills that are different from survival skills, which are very important as well, but can transition those skills into something that's productive and doesn't harm community, that's restorative and reparative. The work
Hmm.
and the things that happen within these spaces provide that kind of practical experience. So trying to explain that to folks who just diminish our work as not being valuable because it's not generating millions of dollars, or that it's
Right.
the 200 teens that we train every year, that each one of those lives is something that is less important than the latest deal with folks that are already incredibly wealthy. To not have a pause and invest in
Mm.
some of these strategies that really stabilize, that will eventually, and not and like within our lifetimes, could flip the script on how we even experience poverty within our
Yeah.
community, and certainly within this region, because we're a very wealthy region from an environmental perspective. We
Right.
have, and we all can be part of it and should be part of it. So that, I mean, for me as a leader and having done this work, physically doing it, envisioning it, sharing,
Right.
coming back, I'm a Sankofa person, so I always think about going back, being present to go forward, going
Absolutely.
back and learning from my family, and not just going out and just doing, joining in to that kind of just not, it's not a cultural practice to just
Mm.
leave and just leave everyone behind and like,
Right.
go and pursue wealth without any kind of connection to who we are as a whole. So that's a challenge for me personally, is that
Right.
tension. And I think that really is reflected in some of the things that we want to see change, that the work that we do around growing is reflective of the larger kind of workforce development, thinking about housing and health, and even redefining what health and wellness looks like. So people don't have to get to the point where they're on dialysis. They don't have to get to the point where they're struggling with diabetes and all these things that are both genetic, but also part of the survival and the lack of information, and not having the right kinds of foods and the right kinds of um, mental health and spiritual
Mm.
spaces, to not continue having to just embody some of the challenges that we see in our community, that we have this alignment between the things that are happening, having time to grieve. For instance,
Mm.
many of our staff in the last couple weeks have had to cope with some gun violence and the deaths of some close friends and family. And there's periods of time when a lot of that is happening, and it happens. You grieve for a moment, and then you keep moving, and we don't really keep moving. It's there,
No.
and it weighs on us, and we find ways to cope with those things that
Right.
aren't healthy, right? So
Very true.
because it's so much, and there's a certain point where we can't feel anymore because it's so painful. So
Mm.
having these spaces where we can um, take that pause and understand that our work directly contradicts those realities is
Okay.
incredibly powerful, even for people who aren't directly involved in the doing of it, but know that we exist, that we're doing this work, and that there's opportunities to develop communities in different ways that really embrace and understand these historical paradigms that really disrupt people's talents and their ability to achieve their full potential.
Mm. Okay. Well, here at Proactive Community Service, we focus on health access, housing, workforce development, especially in the south suburbs like Chicago Heights, where do you see a natural alignment between UGC's work and other community-based organizations like PCS?
Oh, I mean, it's why we're called a collective. Our collective approach is not about us doing everything, but that we understand that we hold a specific way of working around food that
Mhm.
requires collaboration,
Absolutely.
right? Requires it. It's we cannot do this alone, and if we try to, we would become another institution that's in service to itself,
Right.
in service to meeting a huge budget every year and all of those things.
All of the
But
things.
all the things that then becomes unwieldy, and then we're not really doing the work anymore, even if we're mission driven. And so the collective, Urban Growers Collective, and it's not Urban Farmers Collective,
I'm
it's the Urban
sorry. I
Grower. No, no, no,
apologize.
no, 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 no.
Okay.
You got it. You got it.
Okay.
I'm speaking of the we didn't I didn't want the title to be farmers because farmers, then I think people think, well, I'm not a farmer. That's just for farmers. But growers, everyone's a grower. What does that mean?
Absolutely.
We emanate from the city. So we're urban. We have that is our kind of our focus. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't include suburban and rural.
Right.
It's just the idea that the city and the country are always connected
Mm.
and that the things that we do as growers are transferable not only to social enterprises and farms, but also to I don't know if you grow anything, but like the basil in a pot on your windowsill, you're a
Right.
grower. Or you
Absolutely.
you plant your flowers in the spring to beautify. Like, why do we do those things? There's a connection to the earth and to our humanity. So collectively, being able to work with your organization to connect with public health. I have an honorary PhD from University of Illinois, Chicago, but the entire University of Illinois in public health. And so the work that I do has been framed within the context of public health because you can't have public health unless you deal with structural violence, that you deal with, just the inequities around youth incarceration period for people of color. If you're
Right.
not providing the services and the means to treat and heal and to have, real information. And
Mm.
so being able to work with you all, especially now that we've moved into Chicago Heights, into the
Yes.
Southlands with Z Farm, and how we are going to, our focus in that in working with the Conservation Fund to purchase that farm and to keep it in production, to keep it in
Right.
production, which is their mission, and of course aligns perfectly with ours, but so that we can grow more food and be of service to the community of so many people in the Southlands have land, even if it's a 10 by 10 foot, not like in the city, there's so much more land. So being
Right.
able to provide fertility, the compost that we'll be providing, connected to the Green Arrow Project, which we're really excited about, having
Okay.
plant starts of, 5 different kinds of okra,
Oh,
10 different kinds of collard greens, all these heritage foods that we haven't had access to. Crowder peas, purple hull peas, all of,
okay.
butter beans, having the seed available that is that's adapted to our climate with working with Ujamaa and other Black and values aligned people of color seed organizations that literally re kind of rematriate the seeds that we no longer have access to. So being able to bring that information and be a touchstone for folks who want to activate their land, which we encourage everybody. I have a kind
Absolutely.
of call to action this year around 10% local, 10% of your
Mm.
food should be try to purchase from a farmer's market or somebody that you're growing, or grow 10% of your food yourself and eat that food. So being
Right.
able to do that and provide those plants, provide, we have a farm stand that we'll be activating hopefully in the next few weeks.
Okay.
Light opening. We'll officially really open all of our the ways that people can work with us next spring, because we are really a small team. As we grow into projects, we just invite the community to be patient with us, to know that we are here, we're not going anywhere, and that we'll be expanding and adapting the kinds of offerings that we'll be providing based on what the community is asking from us. We just know we have 30 acres, we're going to grow a lot of food, it's going to be
Okay.
delicious and available, affordable, and accessible And we'll find ways to also provide more and more food security and opportunities for folks that are doing innovative work to also be showcased in our, I'm gonna call it a fancy roadside stand. Which reminds me when I go visit in South Carolina, that kind of, any of us who have roots to the South, the roadside markets are amazing.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
try to also get in touch with the Baylors so I can get some of those watermelon
That's
at
been
a
the big topic. Seeded watermelons is all anybody's
I need
talking
the
about right
Baylors
now.
to get in touch with me so that, folks know that they can get those seeded watermelons and they'll be growing them, but not like you can grow them in the South. But we can grow some smaller ones up here.
That's still
Um,
exciting. That's so exciting.
hmm
Oh my
yeah.
goodness. And I know our listeners and our community partners are excited to hear about that. And just to hear the enthusiasm in your voice and how passionate you are about this and bringing, like you said, branching what you're already doing in the city and bringing that out here in the south suburbs is so awesome. And like I said, we're hearing a lot of enthusiasm about people getting back out there and starting to grow their own food. And I've seen younger people, even on TikTok and social medias and things like that nature, who are getting back into that.
Mhm.
Do you see yourself like doing more of that with like smaller groups in the community, like the seniors? I know you spoke a lot with the youth and is so passionate about you. But do you see some growth with the seniors with that? Because I see where they're so passionate about that.
Yeah, we work, I just say multi-generational, and really
Okay.
what I mean is like young people, everyone in between, families, and then seniors. Our
Okay.
seniors are, it's a little bit harder for some of our seniors to come out and grow food, but they like to be nearby and visit
Mm,
and actually work with youth. So
okay.
part of our growing, we have a mobile food market. We have
Oh,
like a bus on wheels that goes to community centers and public health centers, schools, and of course senior centers. And the
absolutely.
majority of our customers are seniors,
Absolutely.
that can't get to the grocery store. It's like two buses, and our PACE has to come and pick them up, and it's to be able to go to a health center where a senior is going for their appointment and then knows that, oh, I can also get this produce is
Right.
really important to us. We're also going to be expanding the availability of prepared food. So that's another thing that we all, I
Okay.
think, with our busy lifestyles, even me, like I have a refrigerator of like amazing produce, but if I don't have the time to cut it up and have it ready to quickly like cook up, I don't eat as much of that food. So being able to provide more of that, you're a senior, it's harder to cut stuff and all of that. So being able to have some of that kind of prepared, pre-cut or
Mm,
cooked, and so I'm just warming it up. Having more of those opportunities and engaging our seniors in that process, but also creating enabling growing systems so that if a senior, can't bend down to the ground, some can now, so I don't want to like pigeonhole my seniors.
absolutely.
Um, as I am getting close to being very seasoned myself, having having spaces where seniors can actually grow food and guide and work with our youth. And youth is, our youth range from little babies at a Head Start farm that we operate
Oh.
in Bronzeville here in Chicago, all the way to, seniors who are, just accessing food and need support. And maybe just time in the garden just to have, social time with their peers and
Mm.
to be around young people and telling us what we're doing wrong and how we should do it right,
That is so
all of
awesome.
that. And that's we need that. And,
Absolutely.
these spaces provide that. Even in the first few, we had we opened up for spring bedding plants, vegetables, herbs, and a little bit of florals. We're going to increase our floral hanging as like the farm that we purchased was kind of famous for these hanging baskets, and
Right.
we're going to do some interesting things with that, but also creating a space when seniors come in that they can sit and socialize. We'll have some
Mm.
light, like some light programming so that there is a space where folks can share their knowledge. And we've already had that happen. People coming in and like asking us for things, and you know, um, just providing a lot of encouragement and excitement around us being there.
Right.
Um, but really connecting that youth to senior continuum is really important for our ability to continue and learn from the past so that we were able to continue to thrive and not lose that knowledge.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I mean, just listening to your story and how passionate you are, I'm excited for the opportunities that you're bringing to the Southland, and it's wonderful. For our listeners who want to support your mission or get involved, what's the best way to connect with the Urban Growers Collective?
The best way is, go to our website, urbangrowerscollective.org. You can also, we're on social media. We're on the Instagram, we're on the Facebook, and we are on, I think, well, we're not really on the Twitter X. We don't do
Okay.
that one. But you're able to really activate, just reach out if there's something you're interested in. And yeah, come on out to South Chicago Farm. We have opportunities we have a few like classes, sliding scale, work shares, if there's some economic challenges. We have a farm stand that's every Saturday there. That's at basically now 9,000 South Mackinac in
Okay.
Chicago on the southeast side. And stay tuned for the next few weeks for our farm stand opening. If you're traveling down Glendyre Road, 1000 Glendyre Road. And you'll see a sign up saying that we're open, or you'll just see it open.
Okay.
We're just doing a real light opening this year. So just invite everyone to and ask for some grace from all your listeners that bit by bit, watch us over the next 3 years really evolve the space. And we're very open to collaborations and feedback from the community around what is needed. We can't do everything, but I know as we get to learn about our partners, we'll be able to refer folks to other folks that do amazing work. So being able to expand our collective approach now to this amazing community of the Southlands.
Okay, well, I have one more question, and we always end by asking, what does community wellness mean to you? And what is your personal vision of a thriving, equitable community?
Well, I mean, I am very I don't want to say luck because it was I definitely have some luck, but I am very committed to the vision that Urban Growers Collective and the work that I am privileged to lead is working towards a more just, equitable food system, specifically in Chicago, but now we're Chicagoland and the Southlands, and that every person is deserves to be included in this work, deserves to be in this work, meaning the work of growing and
Mm,
the growing, preparing, distributing food within our community. And that I bring my talent as a visionary because I'm an artist and I see possibilities where they may not, other people may not see them yet. And
right.
that and because people can't see them, they have to be manifested. They have to be there where you can feel, see, and participate in the work. And that work, in quotes, is for ourselves. It's not work for something else that actually harms us.
Mm,
And to be able to change those gears really does change society and changes our economic reality. And that we're encouraged and supported to do this work keeps us going and also inspires the next generation. And I hope makes our elders proud.
right. Oh my goodness. Well, Erica, thank you for sharing your vision, wisdom, and incredible work that you're doing to grow equity from the ground up. And to our listeners, stay connected with us at the Community Pulse as we continue to highlight voices driving change in our communities. And until next time, I'm Lakeisha Webb, and stay proactive and stay inspired. Thank you. And thank you again, Erica, for sharing all that wonderful information with our listeners.
Oh, my pleasure, and I will come back anytime. This was really a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. A great interview. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Okay.